So instead of a list of 44 Negroes and Indians, I have a database of 200 enslaved people who lived in Little Compton between 1674 and 1817, and they were African, and they were Native American, and they were mixed race. And by mixed race, they were African Indian, African white, Indian white. So I know that August 5th, 1816, was the last day that someone was enslaved in Little Compton. And I know that with confidence because it lines up with the census records and so forth and so on. Because the story of enslaved people doesn't necessarily end with their enslavement. People do gain their freedom. They live sometimes most of their lives as free people. So let's talk about them as newly emancipated people too, and what happens to their descendants, and learn about the lives of enslaved people in Little Compton. But I want to talk about, just mention 2 other books as well, actually 3 others as well. We really started to look beyond Benjamin Church and Awashonks to tell the story of the Sakonnet people. But for the first time in Little Compton local history, we talk about Mamanua, who was Awashonk's stepson. It was a divided tribe. They fought with each other all the time. They fought with each other over land. The English were playing one against the other. They were attacking each other. The English didn't really like working with women, so they pushed Awashonks out of the way and dealt with Mamanua instead. Nobody knew that. Mamanua's not in the coloring book. You know, where was his story? And so a woman other than I, Janet Lyle, discovered his story and presented it here. And I wish I read this before I finished writing my book, but Margaret Ellen Newell has a relatively new book, a year old I think, on Indian slavery. Everybody in this room should read this book. It leaves you without a doubt that the Pequot War and King Philip's War centered on slavery, centered on the desire to enslave. And he'll deal with African American slavery and Native American slavery at the same time.